Okay, Dharma School students, you know the drill. Please put your hands together and repeat the Nembutsu with me. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Sanda. Good morning. I heard it from the adults. I'd like to hear it from the Dharma School students. Good morning. Thank you. Good morning. Welcome back. Welcome back to our full-fledged services of Tacoma Buddhist Temple. You know, this is actually a first time for me because this is the first time that I have done a fully in-person Dharma School service with Dharma School students here in person, sitting in the front. Are you doing this to impress me, or is this what you normally do? Is this where you normally sit? Wow, that's wonderful. You know, back where I come from, Sacramento, Betsuin, the Dharma School kids would sit way in the back. Some of them would be even like in the back room and everything, so you wouldn't be able to see them. But so it's really wonderful to have all the Dharma School students up close and in front. So I commend you. Thank you. This month's theme and next month's theme is return, or to return. We do a lot of returning in the month of September, don't we? Lots of times to return. Where did we return to? Odessa. Where's one of the places that you returned to? That's the most obvious one, isn't it? Yes, very good. Thank you, Odessa. School. You go back to school after Labor Day, right? School happens, and maybe some of you have feelings about that. Of course, for you Dharma School students, you come back to temple, which means that you get to sit in the front row. I'm loving this, so let's keep this trend, okay? But you get to return to Dharma School, and that means you get to return to temple, you get to listen to me. I'm just kidding. You get to, most importantly, listen to your teachers, your Dharma School teachers. But there's a lot of things to go back to. But here's an important question. How do you feel about these returns? Gus, how do you feel about being back here? And you can answer me very honestly, I promise you. Isn't it wonderful? He feels very happy to be back. That is wonderful. I feel very happy to be back. Jet, how do you feel? He feels good. Okay, all right. He feels good. He feels very good. This is wonderful, right? Normally, when we return to things sometimes, we have feelings of anxiety. We have feelings of fear, right? You're starting a new grade. Some of you are becoming seniors. How many of you are becoming seniors in high school? Ooh, right? Real big fears sometimes, real big anxieties, because there's so many things to think about. Where you're going to go to college. Are you going to get into college, right? What's the next step? Maybe some of you are already thinking about careers. But one thing is for certain, one thing that prompts this feeling is returning to school or returning. Now, maybe some of you, and it's so wonderful to hear that you are feeling very happy to be back at Temple. I really wish that all Dharma School students felt this sentiment, but it's okay. Some of you probably have inside of you, you're probably feeling a little like, oh, I had to wake up early. I have to spend my day off coming to temple, right? Oh, I have to do this. Sometimes we feel that way too. And guess what? That's okay. Don't worry. That doesn't upset me because I used to feel that way too. Sometimes it's the way I feel inside, but that's all right because this is natural. This is part of what it means to return to something. But however, there is one place we always return to at the end of the day. Let's see. Enzo, where do we return to at the end of the day? Home. Very good. We return home at the end of the day. And home is where what? Like when we return home, how do we feel? How do we feel? Ezra, how do we feel? Safe. We feel safe. We feel comfortable, we feel at home, right? That's when we say, that's where that expression comes from, right? Dharma School students, like, it feels like I'm at home, right? Because we feel comfortable, we feel safe, we get into routines, we know how these things feel, okay? And this is a feeling I want us to remember and to hold on to, okay, especially for us Dharma School students. When we return to things, sometimes it can feel scary. Sometimes we can feel filled with anxiety. Sometimes we feel uncertain or unknown. But when we return to something, especially if it's temple, Dharma school, or even school, let's all try to have that feeling of going back home, going back to this comfort, going back to what's familiar. We know what the routine is. We get to see our friends. We get to interact with our family. We get to kind of express ourselves. And in that time, we have this warm feeling of comfort. And that feeling is actually why we put our hands together and say, Namo Amida Butsu, okay? So Dharma School students, I want you to think about this, right? That feeling of comfort, that feeling of home. When you have that feeling, I want you to put your hands together and say, Namo Amida Butsu. Not because I say you should, or because, oh, this is the thing to do, but when you have that feeling of utter comfort, real safety and happiness, put your hands together and say, Namo Amida Butsu. This is what Namo Amida Butsu is actually in response to, this feeling of comfort, this feeling of safety. When we feel the most comfortable, where we have little worries, we know where everything is, we know where everything goes, we have our routine. This is where that feeling of Namo Amida Butsu comes from. And eventually, when we feel this sense of comfort and when we have this sense of comfort, we put our hands together in gratitude and say Namo Amida Butsu. So Dharma School students, thank you all so much for waking up and coming to the temple today. I know you were all probably very eager to get off to your classes and to listen to the many wonderful lessons your Dharma School teachers have for you today. But when you go to those classes, right, I want you to think about comfort, right? Think about what it feels like to be home, this wonderful feeling. And then in that regard, you always start and end class with Namo Amida Butsu. So thank you very much, Dharma School students. If you could all please put your hands together and hold on to that nice warm feeling of comfort. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Nam mandas, nam mandas, nam mandas, nam.
Can I have everyone please join me in Gasho? All sentient beings, as they hear the name, realize even one thought moment of shinjin and joy, which is directed to them from Amida's sincere mind, and aspiring to be born in that land, they then attain birth and dwell in the stage of non-retrogression. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo. Well, hello, everyone. Oops. Apparently there's a lot of feedback. It doesn't like me. Should I stand off to the side here? Is that okay? Thank you. Thank you so much, David, for that discussion, I guess you could say, about me going for Kyoshi. In today's talk, I'll actually be talking about my experiences doing Kyoshi Kyoshu. But I hope everyone had a great summer break and that you are continuously trying to stay inside or in a place inside as much as possible because of the ash from all the wildfires that are happening. But today I actually used a quote that is found in the lower fascicle of the Lotus Sutra, as well as in the chapter on Shinjin in the Kyogo Shinsho, the most famous work from the founder of Jodo Shinshu, Shinan Choni. This is actually the fulfillment passage of the 18th vow, which Shinan Choni understood to be the evidence that Amida Buddha's 18th vow has been perfected, and that those who aspire to be born in the Pure Land dwell in the stage of non-retrogression upon realizing Shinjin and joy that is directed to them from Amida Buddha. But what I wanted to focus on today was the word here in the fulfillment passage. This fulfillment passage differs from the 18th vow, as the 18th vow states that one should say the name Namo Midabutsu 10 times and does not use the word here. So which is it? Should we be saying Namo Midabutsu or hearing Namo Midabutsu? And it is both. A person should not only say the name Namo Midabutsu, but should also listen to the name at the same time. So actually today, Reverend Koyama asked me if I could talk about my experience at the first historical event of the first overseas Kyoshi Kyoshu, the second level ordination a minister can get to become a minister of a temple. So traditionally, ministers were sent to Japan to receive their Tokudo, the first level ordination, and the Kyoshi. Originally, there was a Kyoshi ordination scheduled for the year 2021, but unfortunately, due to the COVID pandemic, this did not occur. The problem became that there were people from the Buddhist churches of America, the Jodo Shinshu Buddhist temples of Canada, and the Honpa Honganji missions of Hawaii, who were waiting for the Kyoshi level of ordination, but Japan was just not opening yet. Thus, Bishop Parada from BCA, Bishop Aoki from Canada, and Bishop Matsumoto from Hawaii encouraged Honganji to allow the first international Kyoshi program to occur at the Jodo Shinshu Center in Berkeley, California. And that is where Reverend Koyama and I were during the latter half of August. The Kyoshi program is an intense 10-day session of liturgy and lectures. I, of course, went to the Kyoshi program as a participant, while Reverend Koyama was asked by Bishop Harada to be at the Kyoshi program as a Shidoi, or chanting and ritual teacher, as he holds the chanting and ritual certificate. Other ministers from the Northwest that went to the Kyoshi program was, of course, Rinban Kusunoki from Seattle Betsuin, who was also there as a Shidoi, as he is another minister who holds the chanting and ritual certificate. And also Reverend Melissa Opal from Spokane Buddhist Temple, who was there as a participant. So speaking of participants, there was a total of 11 of us from the 3 overseas districts. It was nice being able to show Honganji how important it is to the overseas districts to certify people from outside of Japan to become full-fledged ministers. There were 9 of us from BCA, 1 of us from Canada, and 1 of us from Hawaii. Thus, we were able to interact and learn from each other during these 10 days. By the end, we definitely became very good friends. And so what I wanted to talk to you guys about is the overarching theme of the Kyoshi session, the Kyoshi program. In my opinion, the overarching theme was to hear, because the thing was that it was not only liturgy, but also lectures. And these lectures were, for the Kyoshi level ordination, you have more lectures on how to do Dharma talks. So technically, until you are Kyoshi level, which right now with the certification being in the gray area right now, I don't know if I should be doing this talk right now because I'm not certified just yet. But the whole session I understand to be about hearing. And yes, again, we had many lectures. So what I want to explain to you all is this diagram here. I'll show it real quickly to everyone online. And then I will try my best to show to everyone else. So I did not have a printer big enough to make this really big for everyone to see. But this is basically the outline of the schedule for those 10 days. And all the colored portions that you see, they are the lectures and rituals that we learned throughout the day. So a typical day during the Kyoshi session goes like this. You wake up at 5:30 in the morning, which for me, it's really early. I like to sleep in until noon. Okay? And so we woke up at 5:30 in the morning. And because of COVID, we had to every day take our temperatures and take a COVID test. So that took up, unfortunately, part of the morning. And then by 7 a.m., we had to be down in what they call the kodo of the Jodo Shinshu Center, where the altar is, where the statue of Amida Buddha is. And at 7 a.m., we had a morning service. And what was interesting about this Kyoshi session was that it was just foreigners. And when you go to Japan, unfortunately, most of the time, the foreigners aren't able to do these morning services. And part of it is because at the Nishiyama Betsuin, where we are usually, you kind of have to sit seiza on your legs. And if you ask foreigners to do that, they most likely won't be able to do it. I know I can't do it probably for an hour. And so it was really nice this time for foreigners to be able to do these morning services. Because though we learned how to do Shoshin Nembutsu Ge with Nembutsu and Wasan during our first level ordination Tokuro, this time for Kyoshi, we actually learned 3 more rituals. 3 more rituals that are usually done during the week of Honko, which is the week-long celebration of Shinanchonin's memorial from January 9th to January 16th that occurs at Honganji at Honzan in Kyoto. And so it was really both hard and fun, I should say, to learn these rituals, because we were pretty much the first foreigners to learn this ritual. And so I think in maybe Reverend Koyama's mind and Nimban Kusunoki's mind, they might be asking us to perform these at maybe a joint Honko service up in the Northwest or something. Don't know, but this helped prepare us for possibly other rituals that Reverend Koyama or Nimban Kusunoki would like to do with other ministers for a special occasion at other temples. But this morning service lasts from 7 a.m. to 8:30. And then at 8:30 to 9:30, there would be breakfast and study time. But the one thing you have to know about both Tokudo and Kyoshi is that meal times are not fun times. In that, yes, you are with everybody in your group, but you are not allowed to talk while you're eating, because during that time, you should not only be focusing on eating your food, but you should also be thinking about those many lives that put work into making this food, about all those lives that were sacrificed to make this food. And so meal times were also, in my opinion, stressful times, because it's culturally accepted in many cultures to talk while you're eating. And so to break that habit, in my opinion, is very stressing. And so having meal times was stressing. But so breakfast would be for an hour, 8:30 to 9:30. And then from 9:30 to noon, we'd have a section of lectures. And some of these lectures included the fundamentals or characteristics of Mahayana Buddhism by Dr. Scott Mitchell, the Dean of the Institute of Buddhist Studies. Or you guys might be interested in this. Dharma Message, Doctrine Clarifying Common Misunderstandings by Reverend Dr. Takashi Miyaji. So that was really fun getting to talk to Miyaji Sensei again. He's really fun to talk to. And then from after those morning sessions, there would be lunch for another hour. And then from 1 to, 5:45, we'd have lectures. And yes, there would be like a 15-30-minute break between some of those lectures. But those lectures, that block of lectures were, I shouldn't say the main part of Kyoshi, because not only did we do some ritual and liturgy classes during that time, but we also had a good chunk of it be on how to do a Dharma message. So it was really nice of Reverend Shugo Wake from Japan to actually talk to us and encourage us to do Dharma messages right. And then so after 5:45, we'd actually have an evening service. And this evening service would have one of us participants lead everyone else in the chanting of Sambutsuge. Pretty simple, but at the same time, it was nice for us to do a chant that we are really used to. And then from 6 p.m. to 7:30, we not only have dinner and self-study time, but we also have what they call a counseling with mentor time. So about 30 to 45 minutes of that time, if we wanted to ask an instructor a question, they were available. If we wanted to ask a ritual instructor a question on some of the rituals for possibly the next morning service or something that has been bothering you, you are able to do that. And so it was a nice time to just, in my opinion, hang out in the kodo and not only talk to the instructors, but to also listen to what questions other people had during that time. And then from 7:30 to 8:30, we'd have other lectures. These were a mixture of having a minister do a Dharma talk and the ritual and chanting instructors to ask us what do we need help on in regards to, they take us in, for the ritual and chanting classes, they actually group us together with an instructor and individually go, what do you need work on? What do you need work on? What do you need work on? And so that was really nice. The Dharma message portion was also very nice because we got introduced to a few ministers from different districts. There was, it was like a collection of 3 Dharma messages, one by Bishop Aoki from Canada, another one by Reverend Furumoto from Senshin Buddhist Temple in the Los Angeles area, and the last one was by Reverend Hironaka from Hawaii. So it's really nice to be able to see different ministers and how the Dharma message styles differed. And then just as 8:30 comes around, already tired, there's a bedtime service. And then, so at bedtime service, it's like the evening service. We'd have one of us lead everyone else, this time in the chanting of Jusei. So a very short chant, which was really nice. But then from about 8:45 to 10 p.m. would be the time for us to get ready for next morning service. So since there was 3 different rituals that we have never done before. We had to utilize that time to ask the ritual and chanting instructors, how do you do this? And get us all together, because one of the rituals that I know Reverend Koyama really likes was the Amida Sutra ritual with Junsan and Gyodo. And so the hardest part in that is that there would be 6 of us on the Naijin, and we actually have to get up and circumambulate, walk around the statue of Amida Buddha. And we had, while doing that, you would have to throw down a pedal every single time you walked. And so for me, coordination is really hard all the time. And so it was super hard remembering where to start walking, where to, once you get in front of Amida Buddha, make sure that you throw another pedal and bow respectfully. But it was a ritual that, we have never ever seen, at least in my opinion, in America. And so the time from 8:45 to 10 was necessary for us to get ready for the next day. And then from 10 p.m. to 11 would be a winding down time, and lights out at 11. So basically we'd have 6 hours at most to be able to sleep. And for me, that is definitely not enough time. So I felt like I got only 30 to 40 hours of rest during those 10 days. But going back to the theme of healing, this whole time that I was listening to these lectures, yes, I was hearing. During the times when I wasn't chanting during these rituals, yes, I was listening. But during one of the Dharma messages sessions that we had with Wake Sensei, he reminded us that even if you're the one doing the Dharma talk, you should also be doing this Dharma talk not only for everybody, but for yourself. So you should also be listening at the same time. And with this, I realized that not only should this be done during the times that I'm doing these Dharma talks, but also during the times that I am doing the rituals. For example, sometimes you might be able to hear a Gobuncho reading for funerals, and that is a great time for the person reading it, not only to read it for everybody, but to also listen to the message that is within that Gobuncho reading. And it's the same thing with when you say Namo Midabutsu. You're not only saying it, but you're also listening to not only everyone saying it around you, but yourself saying it. And that's super important. There is also one other thing I want to impart to you all in regards to a Dharma message. And again, the theme I like to say for the Kyoshi is to hear. And so there was a few teachers who imparted to us about how we should listen to Dharma talks, Dharma messages. And so they gave us not necessarily 3 rules, 3 guidelines everyone should do while listening to a Dharma message. And the first one is to listen to the Dharma message like it is your first time. Always listen to a Dharma message like it's your first time. Even if you've heard this story before, listen like it is your first time. Secondly, listen to the Dharma message like it is only for you. You should always listen to a Dharma message like it is only for you. Afterwards, you're welcome to ask people what they thought about what the Dharma message was about to them. but always remember that the Dharma message being spoken in the moment is just for you. And thirdly, listen to the Dharma message like it is your last chance. As Buddhists, we understand the concept of impermanence. We understand that we might not be able to come the next week for service. And so it is important for us to listen to each Dharma message like it is our last chance to listen to the Dharma. And so this full week of Kyoshi made me realize that I should listen more. I shouldn't be, in like this Dharma message, blah, blah, blahing about all the entire time. I should make sure that I'm also listening to this Dharma talk. I should also remember that when I do these rituals, I am also listening to the Dharma. I am also hearing the Dharma from not only everyone around me in this kondo, but also I'm hearing it for myself. Every single time I read a sutra, I should remember that. Every single time I hear and utter the name Namo Amida Butsu, I should remember this. And that is why I think it is important for not only me to understand this, but to hopefully tell you all that you don't have to listen to me all the time. Don't take my word all the time, but it's an advice to please listen to the Dharma. And though sometimes, like me, I might not be able to ingest everything from a Dharma talk, but at least from this talk, yes, Kyoshi was really hard. It was really long, but it reminded me to listen. Listen not only to everyone around you, but to yourself. And so with this message on hearing, I would like us to put our hands together in Gassho as we reflect in gratitude to the saying of the name Namo Amida Butsu, Amida Buddha's infinite wisdom and compassion, but also hear the saying of the name Namo Amida Butsu from everyone else and from yourself especially. So please join me in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo no, Namo no, Namo no.